Welcome to the Power of Jesus. I'm grateful you're here with us today. What we're about to explore together is something that has troubled me, challenged me, and ultimately moved me in ways I didn't expect. It's a story about darkness and light, about places where hope seems impossible, and yet where something extraordinary is happening. Before we go further, I want to ask you to do something simple. If this kind of content matters to you, if these stories stir something in your heart, please take a moment to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell. The power of Jesus exists to help people understand God, faith, and hope in a world that often feels broken beyond repair. Your support allows us to continue this work, and I promise you, what you're about to hear will stay with you long after this video ends. Let me begin with the hard truth. In many countries across the Middle East, sharing the Christian message is not just discouraged, it's illegal. And I'm not speaking in generalities here. In Saudi Arabia, publicly proclaiming any religion other than Islam can result in deportation, imprisonment, or execution under apostasy laws rooted in Sharia. In Iran, Articles 167 and 220 of the Penal Code allow for the death penalty for those who leave Islam. Pakistan enforces blasphemy laws with a maximum sentence of death. Afghanistan and Yemen maintain similarly severe restrictions. Even in Jordan, Egypt, and Morocco, where capital punishment may not apply, individuals face fines, short-term imprisonment, and severe social ostracism. These are not abstract policies. They are lived realities for millions of people. For a Muslim to even ask questions about Jesus can mean losing family, livelihood, or life itself. So when Jesus told his disciples that the gospel of the kingdom would be preached throughout the whole world as a testimony to all nations, he was not speaking only of places where faith would be easy or safe. He meant everywhere, even the hardest places, even the places where his name is a whisper, not a shout. And that raises a question that has haunted theologians and missionaries for centuries. How? How could this message reach people in lands where changing religion is a crime punishable by death? Would God send believers into those places, knowing the cost? History tells us yes, sometimes he does. But something else is happening, something quieter, something that no government can legislate against and no army can stop. In places where missionaries cannot openly preach, God is speaking directly to hearts through dreams. Now, I know some of you might be skeptical. Dreams? Really? But here's what's important to understand. In Islamic theology, dreams are not dismissed as mere psychology or random neurons firing in the night. They are taken seriously, very seriously. According to Sahih Bukhari, Volume 9, Book 87, Hadith 122, the Prophet Muhammad taught that dreams fall into three categories. There are dreams from one's own thoughts. There are dreams from Satan, meant to disturb. And then there are dreams from Allah himself, known as Ruya Sadiqa, or true dreams. These true dreams are considered 1/46th part of prophecy. That means they carry divine weight. The Quran itself, in Surah Yusuf, chapter 12, recounts in vivid detail the dreams of the prophet Joseph, known as Yusuf, and his father Jacob. These dreams revealed the will of Allah and shaped the course of history. Islamic scholars like Ibn Sirin, writing in the 8th century, dedicated entire volumes to the interpretation of dreams. Even today, devout Muslims consult imams to understand what they've seen in the night. So when a Muslim has a dream about a figure in white who says, "I am the way, the truth, and the life," it is not easily dismissed. It demands attention. Let me share a story with you. I want you to imagine a man we'll call Karim El-Akili. Now, I need to be honest with you. This name may be a pseudonym. I have not been able to verify his full identity through independent public records, and that's not uncommon. In fact, it's standard practice. Ministries working in the Middle East frequently protect the identities of former Muslims who come to faith in Christ. The risk of retaliation, even death, is simply too great. But the pattern of his story, the details, they align with hundreds of testimonies that have been documented by organizations like Arab Background Ministries and Open Doors. So whether his name is Kareem or something else, his experience is real. He was once a fighter, a man committed to jihad, a man who believed that violence in the name of Allah was righteousness. And then, one night, he had a dream. In that dream, he encountered a man clothed in light. The man spoke to him and said, "Your sins are forgiven." Kareem, trembling, asked, "Who are you that forgives me?" And the figure replied, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." Kareem had never heard those words before. So he asked again, "What is your name?" And the answer came, "Jesus, the living God." That dream shattered everything Kareem thought he knew, and it set him on a path that would cost him nearly everything, but give him something far greater. Now, stories like Kareem's are not isolated incidents. In Iran, a man named Lazarus Yegnazar, the founder of Elam Ministries, formerly known as Elam Ministries International and based in the United Kingdom, has documented a sweeping movement. Since the 1990s, Elam Ministries reports that the number of Christians from Muslim backgrounds in Iran has grown from just a few thousand to an estimated 300,000 to 500,000 by 2020. Independent organizations like Article 18, Open Doors, and Joshua Project have confirmed this trend, though exact numbers are difficult to verify because most of these believers worship in secret house churches. The figure of over 100,000 conversions, often cited in early reports, likely reflects data from the period between 1990 and 2010. What's undeniable is this: something is happening in Iran that cannot be explained by traditional missionary activity alone. And at the heart of many of these conversions are dreams and visions of Jesus. Now, let's talk about Gaza. In late 2023, as the conflict between Israel and Hamas escalated to devastating levels, a report emerged from a pastor named Michael Licona, associated with an organization called Rise Jesus Ministry. The claim was staggering. More than 200 Muslims in Gaza reportedly experienced dreams of Jesus in the same night. I need to be transparent with you. I could not find independent verification of this claim. The name Michael Licona and Rise Jesus Ministry do not appear in major international missionary databases like the Evangelical Council for Financial Accountability or Ministry Watch. It's possible this is a small or newly formed ministry without a broad public profile. It's also possible the information was shared informally through local church networks. Given the extreme conditions in Gaza during late 2023, conducting independent verification of 200 individual dream experiences would be nearly impossible by any standard research method. Organizations like the Jesus Film Project and Operation Mobilization have noted an increase in testimonies of dreams and visions in conflict zones, but they have not released quantitative data to support a specific event of this scale. So I present this to you not as verified fact, but as testimony rooted in faith. It should be understood as such. But here's what we do know. Gaza in late 2023 was a place of unimaginable suffering. Nights there were not quiet. They were filled with the sounds of fear, of grief, of prayers that seemed to go unanswered. Children went to sleep clutching memories instead of toys. Parents whispered hope to each other because speaking it out loud felt too dangerous. And yet, in the middle of all that pain, people began waking up in tears, trembling, unable to explain what they had seen. They had not encountered soldiers. They had not encountered preachers. They had encountered Him, Jesus. And that, my friends, is what makes this so overwhelming. Not just where it happened, but when. Not just how, but who it happened to. If you're finding value in this, I encourage you to hit the like button. It helps us reach more people who need to hear these stories. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Power of Jesus. We're building a community here, a place where faith, history, and truth intersect. Let me bring this home. Jesus once said that the gospel would be preached to all nations. He didn't say it would be easy. He didn't say it would be safe. He didn't say everyone would believe. But He did say it would happen. And in places where human effort has been blocked, where laws forbid and culture resists, God is doing what only He can do. He is bypassing every barrier. He is speaking in the language of the soul. He is appearing in dreams. And for those who wake from those dreams, life is never the same. They face impossible choices. To follow what they've seen means to risk everything: family, security, even life itself. But they follow anyway. Because when you meet Jesus, even in a dream, you cannot unsee Him. You cannot unhear His voice. You cannot unfeel His love. So what does this mean for us? It means God is not playing hide and seek. He is not distant. He is not silent. He is moving in the hardest, darkest, most dangerous places on earth. And He is proving, once again, that no power, no law, no government, and no army can stop the message of His love. This is the power of Jesus, not just a channel, but a reality, a force that transcends borders and breaks chains. I'm honored to walk this journey with you. In our next video, we'll dive even deeper into the theological implications of these dreams and what they mean for the future of faith in the Muslim world. Until then, stay curious, stay hopeful, and stay connected to the one who never stops reaching out. God bless you. Now, to understand the weight of what's happening, we need to grasp the reality these dreamers are living in. In Saudi Arabia, publicly sharing the Christian faith can result in immediate deportation, imprisonment, or even execution under apostasy laws. Iran's penal code, specifically Articles 167 and 220, prescribes the death penalty for those who leave Islam. Pakistan enforces blasphemy laws, where the maximum sentence is death. Afghanistan and Yemen carry similarly severe restrictions. Even in nations like Jordan, Egypt, and Morocco, where capital punishment isn't imposed, believers face fines, short-term imprisonment, and devastating social persecution. These aren't abstract policies. They are daily dangers for real people. Yet here, in these locked-down territories, something is happening that no human law can intercept. God is moving through dreams. Islamic theology itself provides the framework for why this matters so deeply. According to Sahih Bukhari, Volume 9, Book 87, Hadith 122, the Prophet Muhammad taught that dreams fall into three categories. There are true dreams from Allah, known as Ruya Sadiqa. There are deceptive dreams from Satan, called Hulm. And there are dreams born from one's own thoughts. But the true dream, the Ruya, is considered 1/46th of prophecy itself. It carries divine weight. In the Quran, Surah Yusuf, chapter 12, recounts in vivid detail the dreams of the prophet Joseph and his father Jacob, showing how Allah reveals His will through the veil of sleep. Even today, many Muslims consult imams to interpret their dreams, believing that in the quiet of night, God speaks most clearly. So when a devout Muslim dreams of a figure in radiant light, calling them by name, offering peace they've never known, it doesn't feel random. It feels like revelation. Here on The Power of Jesus, we're committed to sharing these accounts with honesty and depth, because they point to something far greater than any one story. They point to a Savior who crosses every border, who bypasses every barrier, who meets people exactly where they are. One account that continues to surface involves a man identified as Karim al-Akili. Now, full transparency here. This name, or its variations like al-Akili or al-Akili, doesn't appear in the major public databases of Muslim background believers. It's possible this is a composite testimony, drawn from multiple real accounts and given a pseudonym to protect those still in danger. That's a common and necessary practice among ministries working in hostile regions. So while we can't independently verify every detail of Karim's identity, the pattern of his story matches hundreds of others we do have documentation for. Karim was raised in strict ideology, trained for jihad from boyhood. He memorized texts, he learned tactics, he dreamed of martyrdom. His entire sense of purpose was wrapped up in dying for his faith. Then, one day, without explanation, his mission was canceled. He was dismissed, cast aside. In his mind, this wasn't just rejection by men, it was rejection by God himself. The despair that followed was crushing. Searching for answers, Karim began debating Christians, trying to prove them wrong, trying to convert them. But the questions wouldn't stop. They followed him. They haunted him. Finally, alone and exhausted, he prayed a dangerous prayer. God, if you're real, show me. That night, Karim dreamed. He was running down a path lined with thorns, being chased, terrified. At the end of the road stood a man. When Karim cried out for help, the man reached toward him, touched his shoulder, and saved him. In that moment, Karim knew. He didn't need anyone to tell him. The man was Jesus. And Jesus looked at him and said, "It is time for you to follow me." Karim tried to dismiss it, but the dream returned, again and again. Each time the message became clearer. Eventually he surrendered. His life was turned upside down. He was baptized. He faced rejection. He lived with danger. But he found something he had been searching for his entire life. He found home. If you've been walking with us through this series, I hope you'll take a moment to subscribe and stay connected. These stories matter, and there are more coming that I believe will challenge and inspire you. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe it's a son, maybe it's a daughter, maybe it's a friend you've been praying for. The power of Jesus is reaching places we never could, and that's the point. Now, to understand the weight of these stories, we need to grasp what these dreamers are risking. In Saudi Arabia, publicly sharing the Christian faith can lead to deportation, imprisonment, or even execution under apostasy laws. In Iran, Articles 167 and 220 of the Penal Code impose the death penalty for those who leave Islam. Pakistan enforces strict blasphemy laws, with capital punishment as the maximum sentence. Afghanistan and Yemen carry similarly harsh consequences. Even in nations like Jordan, Egypt, and Morocco, where the death penalty may not apply, converts face fines, short-term imprisonment, and severe social discrimination that can destroy families and livelihoods. Yet despite these dangers, the dreams continue. What makes these nocturnal encounters so compelling to Muslims? The answer lies deep within Islamic theology itself. According to Hadith in Sahih Bukhari, Volume 9, Book 87, Hadith 122, the Prophet Muhammad taught that dreams fall into three categories. The first is Ruya Sadiqa, a true dream from Allah. The second is Hulm, a dream from Satan. The third comes from one's own thoughts. A ruya is considered 1/46th part of prophecy, meaning it carries sacred weight. In the Quran, Surah Yusuf, chapter 12, recounts in vivid detail the dreams of the prophet Joseph and his father Jacob, showing how Allah reveals His will through visions in sleep. Scholars like Ibn Sirin in the 8th century wrote entire treatises on dream interpretation. And even today, devout Muslims often consult their imams to understand what they have seen in the night. So, when a Muslim dreams of a man in white who says, "I am Jesus," it is not dismissed lightly. It is received as a divine message, one that demands a response. Here on The Power of Jesus, we are committed to exploring these movements with both theological depth and journalistic integrity. That includes asking hard questions. Take, for example, the name Karim al-Akili. Despite the compelling details of his testimony, this name does not appear in major public databases of Muslim converts to Christianity, such as those maintained by Arab background ministries or Open Doors International. It is highly likely that Karim al-Akili is a pseudonym, a protective alias used to shield a real person from retaliation. In Christian media working in hostile regions, changing names is standard practice, especially for former jihadists whose lives would be in immediate danger if their true identities were known. This does not diminish the story. It reflects the brutal reality these believers face. Similarly, when we examine the claims made by Pastor Lazarus Yagnazar, founder of what is more accurately known as Elam Ministries, we must be precise. Elam Ministries, headquartered in the United Kingdom, has supported underground house churches in Iran for decades. The figure of over 100,000 conversions since the early 1990s aligns with data from organizations like Article 18 and Open Doors, which estimate that the number of Iranian Christians from Muslim backgrounds has grown to between 300,000 and 500,000 by 2020. That is an extraordinary acceleration. These numbers are difficult to verify independently due to the covert nature of the church in Iran, but the trend itself is undeniable. The underground is rising. And then there is the report from Gaza. Pastor Michael Licona and Rise Jesus Ministry claim that over 200 Muslims experienced dreams of Jesus on the same night in late 2023, during one of the most violent periods of recent conflict. The name Michael Licona and the organization Rise Jesus Ministry do not appear in major evangelical financial or ministry watchdog databases, such as ECFA or Ministry Watch. This suggests the ministry is either newly formed, operates on a very local scale, or functions through informal networks. The context makes independent verification nearly impossible. Gaza in late 2023 was a war zone. Conducting systematic research under bombardment is not feasible. Yet informal reports from organizations like the Jesus Film Project and Operation Mobilization have noted an uptick in dream testimonies from conflict areas. Should we dismiss these accounts because they cannot be scientifically replicated? Or do we listen with the humility that some realities transcend our methods of measurement? These are not just stories for sermons. They are lived experiences unfolding in real time among people who have everything to lose. If you have found value in what we are uncovering together, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to The Power of Jesus. Share it with someone who needs to hear that God has not abandoned the hardest places on earth. There is more to come, and you will not want to miss what we explore next. Now, what makes these dreams so powerful is the context in which they're happening. In many Islamic nations across the Middle East, sharing the gospel openly isn't just discouraged, it's illegal. In Saudi Arabia, preaching Christianity can lead to deportation, imprisonment, or even execution under apostasy laws. Iran enforces Articles 167 and 220 of their penal code, where converting from Islam can carry the death sentence. Pakistan's blasphemy laws hold the same severe penalty, and yet, in the face of these overwhelming risks, something extraordinary is unfolding. You see, within Islamic theology itself, dreams hold sacred weight. The Prophet Muhammad taught in Sahih Bukhari that dreams fall into three categories: dreams from one's own thoughts, dreams from Satan, and ruya sadika, true dreams from Allah Himself. These true dreams, according to Islamic teaching, represent 1/46th part of prophecy. Think about that for a moment. Even within the Quran, in Surah Yusuf, the story of Joseph and his prophetic dreams demonstrates how Allah reveals His will through the visions of the night. Islamic scholars like Ibn Sirin in the 8th century devoted entire works to dream interpretation. To this day, faithful Muslims bring their dreams to imams, seeking understanding. So when a Muslim encounters Jesus in a dream, they're not dismissing it as mere imagination. They're wrestling with what their own tradition tells them, that God speaks through dreams. Take the account of a man known as Karim al-Akili. His story, protected by anonymity for his own safety, follows a pattern we've heard again and again. A former jihadist, trained in violence, who encountered Christ not through a missionary, but through a vision. Stories like his are carefully guarded. Names are changed. Details are obscured. Because the cost of such testimonies in those regions can be a person's life. Organizations like Arab Background Ministries work tirelessly to protect these witnesses, knowing that confirmation could mean a death sentence. Now, Pastor Lazarus Yegnazar, founder of Elam Ministries, has been documenting what's happening in Iran for decades. Since the 1990s, he reported over 100,000 conversions from Islam to Christianity. But more recent estimates from organizations like Article 18 and Open Doors suggest that number has exploded. Today, somewhere between 300,000 and 500,000 Iranian believers with Muslim backgrounds are worshiping Jesus in secret house churches, underground, hidden, yet growing. The research is difficult to verify independently. How do you count believers who must hide to survive? But the trend is undeniable. Joshua Project, Pew Research, mission agencies across the spectrum all confirm the same thing. Something is moving in the Muslim world, and dreams are at the center of it. Even in the midst of war, the dreams continue. Reports emerged in late 2023 from a pastor named Michael Lacona, working with Rise Jesus Ministry, about more than 200 Muslims in Gaza who experienced dreams of Jesus in a single night. Now, was every detail of that account verified by independent sources? No. The fog of war, the inaccessibility of Gaza, the danger faced by anyone making such a claim, all of it makes verification nearly impossible. But here's what we know. Organizations like the Jesus Film Project and Operation Mobilization have documented a rise in dream testimonies from conflict zones. When the world is at its darkest, when hope seems extinguished, that's when the light breaks through. And perhaps, just perhaps, these quiet dreams are among the clearest signs that His return is drawing near. Here at the Power of Jesus, we're committed to bringing you these stories, these movements of the Spirit that the world overlooks. If this message has stirred something in your heart, I'd love for you to share it with someone who needs to hear it. And make sure you're subscribed, because we're going deeper into these faith-based explorations, uncovering the ways God is moving in our world today. May God bless you deeply, my friend. Until we meet again.